Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. In this video, I'm going to be covering United States Secretary of the Treasury Steve Mnuchin. He had a press briefing today at the White House. It was exclusively, or at least the two-thirds of it, it was about cryptocurrencies. That was the primary purpose for this particular press briefing, straight from the White House. Very cool to see. The video that I have on the screen, I'm going to link below, of course, goes 28 minutes, and about two-thirds of that is on cryptocurrencies from the start until that point whenever it kind of breaks off. So I'm going to cover that. And interestingly, although Ripple and XRP were not explicitly named, there's a part that I'm going to tell you about that I swear, like there's a question from the audience, and I don't know how they could not have been referencing Ripple. And then Steve Mnuchin kind of answered it. So I'll get into what I'm talking about there in just a moment here. I've also got select tweets that I want to share with you in response to this, including a string of 7 tweets from none other than Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Then I got a few fun tweets from Anthony Pompliano, from co-founder of Morgan Creek Digital. He's a Bitcoin maxi, good guy though. He's I love reading his tweets. He's good. Then I got going to talk a little bit about Peter Schiff. He's got a live stream coming up tonight, actually. So if you want to watch it, you can check that out depending on when you're catching this video, if it's the day after you might have missed it. But I'm sure you can watch it on replay, you know. But he's having this live stream where you have the opportunity to chime in and try and change his mind about Bitcoin. And also, I'm going to talk in this video a little bit briefly. An XRP community member brought up a concern about Ripple's Spring initiative potentially funding projects that don't benefit the XRP ecosystem. So I'm going to comment on that specifically towards the end of the video. But first, the most exciting stuff. It's going to be on the press briefing here. And then I'm really looking forward to sharing Brad Garlinghouse's tweets with you as well, especially in case you haven't checked them out yet, haven't seen them. So here's a piece. First of all, this is from CNBC on the press briefing, and this is titled Mnuchin. Excuse me. U.S. has very serious concerns that Facebook's Libra could be misused by terrorists. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has concerns about Facebook's proposed cryptocurrency and its potential illicit use. Ooh, spooky. Blah, blah, blah. In a press conference Monday, he Facebook's proposed digital currency. That's got to be a broken sentence. In a press conference Monday, Facebook's proposed digital currency. Yeah, that's a broken sentence. Good job, CNBC. You spell good. Libra, he said it could be misused by money launderers and terrorist financiers, and that it was a national security issue. Cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin have been exploited to support billions of dollars of illicit activity like cybercrime, tax evasion, extortion, ransomware, illicit drugs, and human trafficking. Mnuchin said, adding that he was not comfortable today with Facebook's launch. They have a lot of work to do, Mnuchin said. The press conference comes days after President Donald Trump said he was not a fan of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. He also suggested Facebook, which plans on launching a global cryptocurrency next year, would need a bank charter to do so. Okay, well, that's all well and good. And I will say a strong majority of what was discussed here over the roughly 20 minutes that this press briefing went on, while it was covering this particular topic, it was about the concern written just here in CNBC about illicit activities being used, even though, of course, a better way to conduct illicit activities would be to use use paper money, the United States dollar, fiat currency, because that's not tracked. That you can't really track so easily. Cryptocurrencies, yeah, unless it's a privacy coin, you're going to be able to track it. Bitcoin is a bad way to break the law. Bad idea. Don't do it. Don't break the law anyway. I mean, come on. We're all upstanding citizens here on listening on the Moon Lambo channel, are we not? You're not going to break no law, no crypto. But the other thing he was talking about, in large part, was Libra. I mean, he talked at length without saying a lot. It was mostly a lot of repeating the same stuff because he kept getting asked questions, and then he wouldn't want to answer certain things as it pertains to certain groups. Like he was asked about specifically white nationalists utilizing cryptocurrencies for illicit use, and he just didn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. He's like, I'm not going to comment on specific groups. But he would talk about specifically a little bit about Libra, and he was just saying that if they're going to conduct the business in the way that they've made it clear they want to, especially in the white paper, and I'm not going to rehash all that because I've talked about it too much in recent videos, but they're going to have to convince, apparently the White House and then also legislators at large that what they're doing is, first of all, secure. It's not going to make it easy for to conduct. It's not going to make it easier for criminals to conduct their nefarious activities, so on and so forth. And he was asked, though, here's the part that I found most interesting out of the whole thing. I don't remember who asked this particular question, but it sounded like a question about Ripple. I didn't take the time to write down. It doesn't really matter. I can give you the gist of what was question. What the question was to Steve Mnuchin, and it was basically on the lines of, okay, are you kind of lumping all cryptocurrencies into one basket? Because there are others out there that have been communicating with necessary federal entities, this and that, just to make sure that we're on board. And then he named the specific entities that he's questioning, that he was talking about. And Steve Mnuchin said, no, we're not lumping them all together. And again, this is just me paraphrasing, but conceptually, that's what was gotten across, and that was my primary takeaway from this whole thing. And I watched the whole thing. That was fascinating to me. But who else in the space is even going about it in that way? Because the way I've always worded it, like in terms of like Ripple and the way they're conducting themselves, like they're like the adult in the room. Everybody, you get a lot of screaming kids here, down with the government, down with banks, this or that. And Ripple keeps saying, no, not down with banks, not down with government. We want to work with banks. We want to work with the government. And they want to do everything on the up and up. And so, and I'm sure that the White House is well aware of Ripple and XRP, especially XRP, with it being one of the top cryptocurrencies. I don't blame them for not talking about it. To what end would that serve their political needs? Do they really need to talk about Ripple and XRP right now? Of course, it can come up, but I'm not surprised it wasn't discussed during this particular press briefing. I don't think that particularly matters, but I did find it interesting. Now, let me share with you some comments here. The string of tweets I was teasing at the beginning of this video from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Let me just read through these here. Just watch at Steve Mnuchin's press conference on regulating crypto and have personally spoken to him on this topic. Oh, see, so there you go. I forgot that Brad said that. I read through this whole thread and I forgot that he wrote that. So yes, anyway, yes, of course, Steve Mnuchin is well aware of Ripple and XRP. Okay, anyway. And then Brad continues up here. I've also been ruminating on President Trump's tweets on crypto last week. And so here we go. I agree that crypto isn't likely to replace fiat currencies. I have been very vocal that crypto isn't likely to disrupt the US dollar and other G20 currencies in my lifetime. But as Mnuchin indicated, the entire crypto industry should not be painted with one broad brush. It has come a long way since the days of Silk Road for the industry to succeed. We need to work with regulators and within policies. Full stop. And that's what I was talking about. So this is Brad recognizing that in particular. Because he was, again, asked that question, and this is what Brad is specifically referencing, what I was trying to communicate to you. So I hope I did an okay enough job paraphrasing what was actually communicated there. And I definitely, certainly agree with Brad Garlinghouse that although cryptocurrencies could be used as money, I don't see, I don't rule it out, but I think it's unlikely that you're going to have some sort of cryptocurrency replace the US dollar, at least, I'd say even in my lifetime. How old is Brad? At least a decade older than me. I'm 36. I think he's in his 40s, isn't he? Late 40s or something. I don't know. But anyway, here's the rest of the tweets here. And so, here we go. I'm continuing on with Brad Garlinghouse's tweets now. When I read the Libra white paper outlining a goal to create a new fiat currency, it was clear to me that the effort should be held to the same standard as regulated financial institutions. XRP is uniquely equipped to solve a multi-trillion-dollar problem by offering a dramatically faster and cheaper bridge for cross-border payments. Ripple already works with regulators, banks, and financial institutions, like MoneyGram, to implement this around the world. I hope there is no ignoring, laughing, or fighting as it relates to regulation of crypto. If we want to maximize progress forward, it's about working with the existing financial system, not against it. If not, we risk squashing innovation here in the United States and letting foreign interests take control of this new sector of our global economy. Absolutely, Brad Garlinghouse. Well tweeted, all 7 of them. And this is why I'm saying Ripple, the company, it's like they are the adult in the room. Brad Garlinghouse, adult in the room. Exactly. Getting the big picture, not trying to tear down the system, understanding that this is just a new way forward. And of course, it's going to affect monetary policy, and it's going to be good for a whole host of reasons. But it's not. There's nothing in and of itself, like in terms of cryptocurrency, that is innately bad. Criminals are going to be criminals, and if they want to conduct their criminal, nefarious activities, they can choose to use Bitcoin, which is a really bad idea because it's tracked, or they can use fiat currencies, and those might be harder to track. So people are being people. This isn't incentivizing bad behavior. No, nothing like that. And though I will say, and I haven't spoken too much about this, but On privacy coins, it did make me think of that. Those I'm concerned about. There can be real utility if properly regulated for privacy coins, but as far as them just having general use, just generally being out there and anybody having access to them, I think that governments are going to come down hard on those ones until you got to properly regulate them, because there can be legitimate instances where you do want large scale transactions and you want pools of liquidity. So maybe you do want some cryptocurrencies that have staying power, that do have sufficient liquidity, but where transactions for good reason need privacy. Because think, even outside of cryptocurrency, there are financial transactions that are absolutely kept private, whether they're specific private business dealings or this or that. So there can be a real use for it, for sure. I mean, I feel that way anyway. And the technology is more efficient than traditional means of moving money. So I could see it, if properly regulated, maybe one of those things could take off. But outside of that, I think it's too easy to use certain privacy coins, because you really can't track them. It's too easy to use those for nefarious activities, and those need to either not exist or be properly regulated. And I haven't really ever talked about that on my channel, but that's kind of how I feel about those anyway. So I thought I'd just chime in since it popped in my head. Next year, we got response from Anthony Pompliano on this topic. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says that Bitcoin is based on thin air. Someone better tell him how fiat currencies work. Well said, well said. Of course, technically, dollars are printed as well, but most of it's just numbers floating around out there in cyberspace, right? Just floating around on ledgers. So those are printed, and so whether it's real money it's actually printed, or it's just printed out of thin air and it's on a ledger now, United States is just making that up. And as I've said in previous videos, when they print dollars, that's tantamount to inflation, which sucks. Anyway, next Anthony Pompliano tweet on this topic. In all caps, Bitcoin is based on math. I like that. That's good. Got some pizzazz there. All right, next Anthony Pompliano tweet. I think this is I only had 3 from him. It says, update, the U.S. government likes Bitcoin as long as you don't break the law. That's a fair takeaway, right? I mean, you have to watch it yourself to make sure, but I watched it. I'm like, okay. It's not like they're saying this stuff can't exist. They're not saying no to Bitcoin, no to everything else. And I can understand a certain level of skepticism, especially if you're just beginning to learn about cryptocurrency, whoever you are. But just don't break the law. We all good. And then we got this here. This was from an XRP community member here, Lewis Walden. I read this and I just thought I'd share it with you. He writes, I'm human. I've had doubts about XRP and whether it would one day be what I think it could be. When I heard the MoneyGram quote by the U.S. Secretary of Treasury today, my confidence level went through the roof. I truly believe we are on the right track here, folks. And he did cite MoneyGram when he was talking about the impact of cryptocurrencies, but he did not say Ripple or XRP, but he did say that towards the beginning of his remarks. So, I thought that's cool. Just want to share it with you. Another thought on that. Now, check out this. This actually... Oh, wait, actually, I meant to hop into this later in the video. You know what? That's okay. I can talk about it right now. There's this tweet from an XRP community member. And who is this? WB. It's at... AMENTIALINKED. Amentia linked? Maybe that's how you say it? I don't know. Anyway, tweeted this out. Dear XRP community, I'm starting to doubt how much Spring is benefiting the XRP ecosystem. And again, Spring is Ripple's initiative to fund businesses which are utilizing specifically XRP or are benefiting the XRP ecosystem in some way, right? And then he continues here. As an example, their latest investment in Near Protocol has not and will not have a link with XRP on Interledger in any way. And I did cover Near Protocol recently. It's basically a smart contract platform that's designed to compete with the likes of Ethereum and some others, whatever. Okay. And so then at Discord in Crypto responded to that. Ethan Beard claimed it will bring smart contracts into the XRP ledger. Actually, no, let me show you the screen grab first so I can just show you what he's talking about. This is from WB again here. It's at Alexander Hudzilin, and that's somebody that's working at the Near Protocol. And so he wrote, hi everyone, and then he just tagged that person. So this is just a question on a Discord channel. So there's absolutely no connection between XRP or Interledger and the Near Protocol currently or planned in the future. And somebody else responded, hello, just found Near on the net and reading intensively about it. Looks very pro and serious. So then Alexander Hudzilin responded, one word, correct. So again, the question was, is there a connection between XRP or Interledger? And he responded, correct. So that caught my attention right away. I was like, wait a minute. So there's a Spring Initiative, and this guy who just is getting funding now in part through Ripple Spring Initiative is saying that there's no connection to XRP or Interledger. That's concerning. So I was like, let me read on. So I went down further. And if you just go down here, I don't need to read every single comment here, actually, but here's Warren Paul Anderson. He is a Ripple employee here. And what he wrote is this. Spring is definitely not doing traditional venture capital investments focused on financial returns. Recall that we're building a developer platform, so if we see a smart team working on related technology that could improve developer experience across XRP, Interledger Protocol, and Codius, then we do a deal. And again, Codius, that's that has to do with smart contracts. That's the Ripple technology. So anyway, so here's Warren Paul Anderson saying something that would be to the contrary, which is what we'd always been told and what I'd always believed, which is that if you're getting funding through Ripple Spring Initiative, you gotta benefit the ecosystem of XRP somehow. And then he explicitly states XRP, ILP, and Codius. ILP is important also because they're what they're looking for is to be able to utilize XRP as a bridge, because ILP itself, it's just a protocol. It doesn't, It's not a blockchain of any kind anyway, so you can use XRP to actually move value anyway. So that's why that's important. It can be used in the plumbing on a very global scale, and it's an excellent way to move money anyway. So it was good to see that. But then I was like, well, why did Alexander say that then? So then he actually responded in a tweet here. And he wrote, and this is in direct response to Warren Paul Anderson, he wrote, "One more thing to note. We are big fans of Interledger technology at Near Protocol. Here's a whiteboard session done by @Dan Robinson where we learned about Interledger in depth." Okay, so that's to the contrary of what he initially said, so they're big fans. I'm not sure how we stated that there's no use. Warren Paul Anderson says, no, we don't invest in businesses that aren't benefiting XRP, ILP, and Codius. Again, Ripple employee. And then Alexander says, hey, we like Interledger. What are we to take away from that exactly? That's my question. I'm like, this is kind of confusing. Like, why did he write correct in the first place? That's what I kind of want to know. So if I can dig into this and learn a little more, I'll find out. But this just came up, and I wanted to share with you what I know at this particular point. But regardless, I can't. What is Ripple's incentive to use the Spring Initiative specifically to fund it if it's not going to benefit XRP? Because outside of that, if they wanted to, they can invest money in whatever the heck they want, and they have in the past, actually. So I don't know why they do Spring Initiative specifically to fund something that doesn't benefit this particular ecosystem, because the Ripple employees that are running that's not their job. That's not their task. And so that's why this caught my attention. I'm like, well, what the heck's going on here? So anyway, that's all I got on this for now, but if I learn more, I will be happy to share with you. Okay, now this is the Peter Schiff live stream challenge that I was telling you about. So he tweeted this out. I challenge anyone who thinks I don't buy Bitcoin because I don't understand it to try to educate me. Don't miss my Bitcoin challenge live on YouTube Monday, July 15th at 9 p.m. EDT, which that's the abbreviation for Eastern time, right? Eastern, I believe, United States. Anyway, you had better bring it because I will. And what I want somebody to ask? Maybe I actually am going to watch this thing, but what I want to know from him is it's the same thing that, like, my own original thought. The reason that I believe cryptocurrencies have staying power. This is my own original thought. I haven't heard anyone else ever articulate it this way, but I've said it on this channel numerous times. Is that I believe that the reason cryptocurrencies have staying power because you can build new businesses on top of blockchain technology that otherwise literally could not function. Without this technology, they can't. And given that the native assets built on top of these blockchains are a part of this, and people are buying and selling them, they have the ability to. Of course, humans are going to value them. That's why they're going to have staying power. It's because they're necessary to be used within particular business models. And that's, again, my own original thought. Haven't heard anyone else articulate anything quite in that way. And I want that question to be posed to Peter Schiff. Given that's the case, why don't you think these digital assets will have staying power? Because that's why I'm happy to invest in XRP specifically, because businesses need it to conduct transactions. And then since that happens, then that speculators, it gives the confidence for retail speculators, investors to invest and hold it. That's why I'm doing it. That's how the ecosystem works. That it just is how it works. And so I would love to hear what he has to say about that, but he's never been asked that because he keeps getting asked about the original use case for cryptocurrency, a peer-to-peer cashless system as envisioned by Satoshi Nakamoto, with moving value around the world without a counterparty. Okay, super duper. That's one use case. What about the rest? I want somebody to ask Peter Schiff about the rest. So if I can, I will, but I doubt I'm going to get his attention. All right. Anyway, and here's another one. This is check this out. I kind of covered this. was it today or maybe it was today? My last video. There was a comment by Thomas Lee of Fundstrat about Bitcoin going to $40,000. And he added to it here a little bit. And so Jason A. Williams tweeted this out, first of all, on Twitter. Trump's attack on crypto could push Bitcoin up to $40,000 by year-end, Tom Lee at Fundstrat. Bitcoin search is listed below. Search correlated to price. Trump pumped search. When search for the term Bitcoin hits a fever pitch, you will have the answer for when moon. But when Lambo? I need to know when Lambo. And then Thomas Lee actually responded, wrote, it's healthy to see Bitcoin pull back here. As for the search traffic for Bitcoin being low, I also think that is a good sign. It means the rise in Bitcoin has not been accompanied by massive hype. And that is true. Of course, here's negative Peter Schiff coming here, though, and I just wanted to share this with you because he's just whatever's anti-Bitcoin. Whatever. So he said, every sign is bullish according to you, and he's responding to Thomas Lee here. If searches were up, you would say that was a good sign. Fewer searches shows that new buyers are scarce. Existing speculators pressing their bets, many using leverage, have pushed prices up, but without new buyers, prices will collapse. So he thinks it's a Ponzi scheme then again, though, so whatever. I just thought I'd share it with you for the fun of it here. And then let me just wrap up the video with this. I just thought this was a fun one. I'm a fan of Breaking Bad. You guys ever watch the show Breaking Bad with Walter White? Friendly family man who is dying of cancer, and then he ends up becoming a drug dealer on a massive scale. It's a great show, man. It's one of my very favorite shows. That and Lost are a couple of my very favorites ever. But anyway, so XRP Operator tweeted this out, and I'm wondering if this was in conjunction with the current price of cryptocurrencies in general. But he wrote, done with crypto, and he's got 4 exclamation points and then a very unhappy emoji face. And then there's a picture of Walter White from Breaking Bad, and it says, F this, I'm cooking meth, and Walter White's got his hands up in the air. So I just thought I'd end the video on a lighter note there. I gotta love that show anyway. But that's all I got for you for now. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea.